So today, taking a few steps backwards to go back and really firm up Akari'S character design, because most of the rest of the cast of the show we haven't seen yet. You had a certain amount of latitude on those ninja guys that showed up in the scene that I've been working on. But for Akari, there's not really tons of that kind of latitude. She's got to be exactly correct. So I figured, alright, today let's just step backwards, go back into Blender, just so I sort of have a infinite canvas. I can drag in background images pretty quick and easy. I had a pretty negative experience yesterday with Krita, tell you the truth. Tried using it for some animation, and I like it for drawing, painting, but for animation it just, and I have the latest version and all the rest, and it just bogs down so quickly, so easily, that it's just not even fun. So anyway, so today what I'm doing is I'm basically trying to be real rigorous about the geometry. This is all about the geometry of this character. And the when I say geometry, I mean, if you look here, I actually put in some measurements and stuff to see exactly, based on what this character's design is supposed to be, what are the mathematical relationships between the various parts of the face. Mainly, of course, we got to do the same thing with the body. And I'll say that the reason for the sunglasses is just because I've had a lot of screen time last couple weeks, and plus it's kind of allergy season, so it's making my eyes kind of get a little bit touchy. So the more I do this, the more comfortable I get with her character. When I was doing the shot in opentoonz, the part that was really tough was when she rolls over in bed, because in that one shot you got basically a front view, 3/4 view, and side view all in one little shot. And could kind of get away with murder because it went by really fast. But so now in this case I want to keep her looking straight ahead. One of the stipulations here is that her irises are slightly on the oval side, as are her pupils. So, and those are the kind of details that, I mean, just one little change makes her look like a whole different person. So it's really important that we get that right. Now in this case, let's see what we got here. See, we have a mistake. Look at this. See that? This is the kind of thing I'm talking about. It is so easy to make mistakes like this. Like, so easy, it's ridiculous. I trust that the longer I do this and the more I do it, the less likely that I'll make these kind of mistakes. But jeez, it's just frustrating to suck so bad. There, that looks better. I would actually say that the eye is... Okay, hold on, I gotta turn on the proportional editing. And what you're seeing right now is exactly the reason why I'm using Blender for the character. character sheets. Oops. Is because, okay, that's interesting. Okay, I'll hit escape. Now I should be able to hit control and drag, and I can't. That's definitely interesting. Now I can. Very strange. Size. I guess maybe it was because I was clicking the left mouse button or something. I don't know. Okay, so now I kind of feel like, let's go on the X. And so yeah, like I said, this is the reason I'm using Blender is because of what you're seeing right now. It allows me to just mush the points around and fine-tune the design. So here we can see, frankly, I'm gonna select linked. I'm gonna steal this. Okay. And shift. Select linked. Oh, come on. Drives me bananas the way you have to turn off the proportional editing tool in order to drag anything around. I mean, of course it makes perfect sense that that would be the case, but alright, so now that's not too bad. So let's do a duplicate again, and let's size it on the X -1. So that effectively just flips it. And for the 3/4 view, we're going to actually size it on the X a little bit more. And then that looks pretty good. Okay, feel like I need to delineate the width of her neck there. So she has these. So you'll see that I should probably just show this. Okay, so we have all these screenshots from different animes, and admittedly, you know, hopefully we won't get sued for this, but basically Akari'S loosely based on this character, and there's probably a lot of people watching this who know exactly. Oh, I see, I got a little problem here, don't I? There's probably a lot of people watching who know who this is. I don't. I have no idea what this character's name is. So Akari is loosely based on her design, with a few caveats. Number one, her eyes are higher. Her eyes are not as tall. Like this girl's eyes are very, you know, wide. I mean, wide. I guess tall is the best word, but so we're squeezing them down a little bit, making them slightly narrower. So there's definitely some changes from this character. She has these certain pigtails. I think that's, yeah, there's the same character. So, like I said, some of you guys probably that watch this will know who that character is, and I should know, but I don't. I mean, I've just got this folder with 12,000 different, you know, screenshots from animes that we're using as character references, and, you know, I don't think we're violating anybody's intellectual property. We're just kind of using, I mean, Akari, how is Akari different? Well, number one, her bangs are different in the way they delineate here. Her eyes are not as tall. Her eye color is pretty sure it's going to be quite a bit different. Her chin is rounder. Her head is slightly narrower, you know, so it's like when I look at anime, you see the same basic character designs over. I mean, actually, let's just say here. I mean, if you look at these, if you actually just toggle through these fast, you see the same thing over and over and over again. Which basically is a ball with an upside down triangle. Now we're getting in. Yeah. So with the guys, it's kind of maybe a little more of an oval, but what I'm saying is this is essentially what you're seeing. You're seeing a circle with a triangle. That's the basic. And then if the eyes are wider, you know, I'm thinking maybe a show like Vampire Nights or something is going to have characters where the eyes are wider apart, so it's a little more of a caricature. Sometimes the noses are very straight and just suggestive of a nose. You know, usually the hair definitely has some serious volume, right? So that's basically the aesthetic. And like I said, every, you know, I mean, there's hundreds, thousands actually of animes out there, and they're all using the same basic motifs. So that said, you know, Akari'S loosely based on this other character that we just found in some anime. Okay, so I actually think we're pretty close here. The only thing I would say is I really think we should have a shot in between these two as well, and actually, frankly, a rear. In all my references, that's something I know I'll probably not find unless it's an over-the-shoulder shot or something, but you don't really see that a lot in anime. So, like, what I mean by that is, for example, this shot right here, you know, over the shoulder, so you're seeing the back of the head. It would probably be just for completeness. Yeah, now actually that looks very similar to what I drew when Akari rolled over in bed. So pretty simple. I don't really need to spend a lot of time here dealing with that, but so I should probably switch back to my drawing. So, and one thing I do notice is that my chin here is actually even a little more rounded, and I think that's a good thing. I would say that over here we should err on the side of rounder, not pointier. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm thinking one more drawing that's going to take the 3/4 view and bring it around even a little bit more, so it's starting to approach the profile. It's just good practice, man. You know, it's the more you draw the character, the more you're going to be able to draw the character. So I'm gonna do this. Okay, so here we have a center line, 3/4, so let's go about there. Alright, so this is going to be quite a turn, and this is not tremendously unlike actually animating, because this is what you have to do. The difference is with animating, you're going to normally have, and I could have done it this way actually. I could have just used the onion skins and done it as a multi-frame animation. Frankly, I probably should have, but yeah, one thing with Blender is having the grid is useful. It's, I mean, although I'm pretty sure you can turn on a grid in opentoonz, and I know you can in Krita. Little word for the wise. In terms of software performance, actually the most performant app I've been using and have used for about 10 years or more with painting and stuff is actually the venerable GIMP. I'm using version 2.8. I don't even know what version it's on now, but 2.8 wasn't too horribly long ago. Last time I checked, if you went to portableapps.com and you downloaded the portable Blender, you get version 2.8. But you can load really big files with lots of layers, you know, 200 megabyte files, let's say, which isn't a huge file, but for an image it is. But I'll get imagery from you know, if I'm doing some work for a client, And in recent history, what that usually is things like movie posters. You know, getting the assets together for. I've got a movie that's going to be premiering in the theater. In fact, I need to post something about that on Facebook. September 21st, I think it is. We're going to have the world theatrical premiere for this movie that I wrote and directed. And but you know, the poster is really, really, really big. In fact, I'll show you. Let's see here. Let's go to L drive, healed by Greaase 2, and we're going to go to graphics. And there it is. Actually, there's the movie poster. You can't see it because of the stupid window, but yeah, so that's. But the Photoshop file for that graphic is like really huge, you know, a lot of layers and all this sort of thing. So anyway, okay, so now we got to put the tail, or the pigtail, more over-ish. Okay, and the mouth. Okay, see right there, mistake. Mouth too high. Okay. Nose, boom. Okay, so eyes seem to be sitting on this line right here. Okay. Something about that looks way wrong. I'm sure I'll figure it out, but yeah, just something doesn't feel right about that one. What's going on here? I'm trying to figure out what it is I'm noticing that's making this just feel wrong. Ear goes there. Let's see. What I'm feeling here is something about this is making her look like a guy. Not that there's anything wrong with that, or that there's anything wrong with being a guy. Last time I checked, I was one. But this feels very... Okay, so my sense is that in order to get the look I'm after, I need to make that line straighter. And this is why I'm doing this, is I'm wanting to see what kind of... I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me, sorry. Just trying to see what I'm going to run into. This is the... Let me see here. Here's the circle. This has got to come around to like there. It's funny because right now, for some reason that I can't quite put my finger on, she's starting to look like, oh gosh, what's the girl's name in the second Avatar series? I forget the girl's name. Seems like it starts with a K. You know, the girl Avatar. Okay, so I'm going to put that, really establish pretty firmly the curvature, or the turn, I should say, of the head. Okay, so that should be popping out back more. Now this has to be visibly lower so that there's a palpable volume to the bangs. Okay. So I'm thinking to pull off that pose, the apparent angle here would be somewhat less. Okay, and I want to compare. It's doing better. But yeah, if you're watching, you may be getting frustrated because you're thinking, come on, idiot, don't you notice, you know, this or that doesn't quite look right? And the answer is no, I don't notice. That's the problem. Kind of oval-ish. Oval-ish. Yeah, that's not too bad. And then that's got to angle up. That's got to angle down. That's got to be sort of condensed. Okay. So it is kind of fun once you've done this enough times and you start to actually get to know the design of the characters, and then it does get easier to draw them correctly time and time again. Okay, I better save my work. Save early, save often, I always say. Okay. The sense I'm getting is that this is not evolving over enough. So actually, I'm wanting to see a little bit more of a that's better. I think that's better. I wish I could say with absolute confidence that it's absolutely better. But frankly, folks, sometimes I'm just not sure. Because I am unfortunately limited by my own powers of observation and as well as drawing ability. Okay. Alright, so now what seems to be missing here, and frankly I like this better, personally, but we're losing her jaw. I totally can see that. So let's see what the point of the jawline is right there. So we don't want to throw her jaw away, do we? Okay, so now, actually I'm going to turn this back on. What I think will be interesting, let's see, I think going to that resolution is pretty good. You can see some discrepancies, and what I'm going to do is try to address these. Okay, so, and I have to do this in order to really pin down, did I draw her correctly, or is there some things that are still a little bit wacky? Okay, so that line is going right through her eyes. This line is going right under her nose. This, aha! You see that? This, in this shot, let's turn on the proportional editing. In this shot, her mouth is slightly low. Yep, and I tell you, it's really amazing because just lowering the mouth a millimeter changes her age. It literally changes her age, kind of a lot. Now another thing is, you'll notice the chin here is completely wrong. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the grab tool so I can just sculpt this into place. Sorry, grabbing the wrong tool. So this is another spot where the Blender Grease pencil is really helpful. And now, do we want to give her a little bit more jaw? Let me switch this to the smooth tool once again, and I just want to smooth this out a bit. Okay, so what flagged me there was that you can see this distance here and this distance here need to match. One thing I'm also noticing is that to really be accurate, we need to match up these eyebrows just so that she's essentially in the same basic attitude, if you will. Let's see something here. Let me swing this up. Okay, so what I really want to do right now is go to connected so that I'm not influencing anything except just the grease pencil strokes that I'm fiddling with. Okay, because I really want to try to maintain a similar expression between these shots. So I'm going to go ahead and try to grab all of those. And I'm going to turn that, and we're going to raise it slightly. I'm going to say that this eye in total is too high. Go on the Z, shift. Okay, better. Just check something here. Let's switch this back to projected. Wow, isn't that amazing what a difference that makes? Okay, okay, we got that mouth up. Seems to me, just sort of feels like there's two things I'm seeing. One is we need to have this little edge in the eyes, and then number two, it seems to me that, well, okay, there's more than one thing that's wrong with these eyes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually try to buy myself a little bit of Greaase here, and oh, come on. Why does this keep happening? I hit control, and if I drag with, now it doesn't do it. Sheesh. Alright, I gotta hit the O key to turn the proportional editing off so that I can go Shift D and drag this over here. Okay, so now for the 3/4 view, let's size it on the X just slightly. Okay, and then rather than fight with it, okay, for some reason this doesn't work. I'm hitting control and then left mouse click. Now it works. Okay, did I go left mouse click then control before? I must have done it in the wrong order. So let's go ahead and save our work. But what I'm trying to get at here, I guess I'll just go back to using the tablet. Control. Yeah, see, now it's doing it again. What what mode am I? I'm actually experiencing something I've literally never experienced before, which, by the way, happens at least 9 times out of 10 whenever I do a YouTube video. All of a sudden, so I'm going to hit A to escape. I'm going to hit Control, and I should be able to just lasso, and now it works. Weird. Weird, weird, weird. I'm going to delete those strokes. I'm going to grab these strokes. Okay, let's do some cleanup. This is getting to the point of stupidity. Kill that stroke. Okay, what I want to do is grab just... Actually, let's do this. Let's lock the blue so I can't accidentally grab it. Shift duplicate, size X -1, and go. Okay, so now we're going to go on the X. Probably about to there, and then we're going to size it on the X little bit. Okay. And frankly, I got a little confession here. I don't like it. I don't really like it at all. So that's interesting. This is basically an approved drawing, and I copy it over here and move it around, and it doesn't look right to me. Not only doesn't look right, but it doesn't look good. It really looks kind of bad, actually. So all we can do is play around with maybe figuring out why. Let's go on the X like that. That looks better. So the only thing I can say is that, in my opinion, for reasons I have to just figure out, it's really, really difficult to just do it on the fly when, you know, it's like I got the camera rolling here, right? So I'm failing. In my opinion, I'm failing here very publicly, which is probably a good thing for my character. But so basically, this does not feel alive. I don't know how else to say it. Another thing about it is it feels wider. It feels younger. And it's important to get that right, because Akari's supposed to be about 18 years old, 17, 18. Well, she may be 16, I guess, but even so, she's not a little kid. So I'm going to go ahead and put these ovals right here. Okay. And she would have a little bit of a eyelash thing going on. Alright, and now for the sake of a more neutral expression, I think I will go ahead and change the eyebrows. Once we've got this pinned down, I want to clarify that my goal is to reduce Akari to, as I said earlier, geometry. I want to know that I can go boom, boom, boom. You know, this is a triangle, this is a circle. For whatever reason, that's kind of how I think of it. So the problem we have here would appear to be, setting aside the fact that the eyes are too high, which seems to be quite a habit of mine. Okay. But I'm going to redo that eye, actually. So we want a line, line. Okay. And those aren't supposed to be curved lines, by the way. Those are straight lines. Okay, so now let's go back to here and see how it's different. The one that's different is this one. This is actually the one that's bugging me. This has got a sort of a classic problem of mine, which is the tendency to make things look too comic booky. Americanized, if you will. More like an Americanized comic book or cartoon character instead of, you know, anime. Anime's got a certain aesthetic to it. And we're trying to adhere to that aesthetic. So up here, and what that means in practice is trial and error. Do other cartoonists kind of have to battle to get the designs looking right? I would think so, but I don't know. So theoretically that would be and I don't know, I think maybe for the side view we're going to fudge a little bit. The reason we're going to fudge a little bit, I'll demonstrate why. If the eye is this shape, dot, dot, dot. Okay. Actually, let me do that again. Let's get this, move this way out of the way. Now I'm going to save my work right now. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is dot, 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 and dot, dot, dot. This one's probably more like that. So you've got sort of this shape, and you got this shape, and you sort of connect them, and then of course you got some eyelash kind of thing going on here. Okay. If that's the eye, then when the eye turns sideways, this area, this line would actually look longer, and this one would look shorter. So therefore, you would say that it would be more like this when it turns sideways, which is definitely closer to what I drew there. So now, if we're going to put the iris area in the center, that would move to there. If we're going to do oval irises, so something like that. Now we could have a little bit of a line down this way. Excuse me. See, what did I tell you? It's definitely allergy season, and so, but in principle, I think I'm actually pretty close here. I think this is a fairly apt description of what I'm trying to achieve. And of course, in anime world, let's just say she has blue eyes. I'll use my blue pencil as the eyes. Then let's add a white patch, which is going to be like something like that. Right? So that's getting closer to what we should be achieving, if I'm correct. So now this, and this look pretty good. The basic problem here appears to be her eyes are too big. I'm going to redo these eyes. Okay. I'm just going to redo them. Alright, so let's use our let's use our dot 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 concept again. So we're going to start it over, and I'm going to use these grid lines shamelessly. So I'm going to say here, so that means it'd be dot 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 Alright, I definitely don't like her mouth in that shot, by the way. And I don't like her chin either. Either. Which is it? Is it either or is it either? It could be either or either. Well, I'm just full of laughs today. Okay, so the problem here is this is hearkening back to that comic booky kind of thing I was saying. The minute I allow these lines to curve, in other words, instead of drawing a straight line, I kind of go like that, it starts to look Americanized to me, for lack of a better, description of what that is looking like. Okay, not bad. So what is the problem with her chin? First of all, let's just step back here a little bit. Okay, seems like that would want to be like something like that. Okay. So what appears to me to be a little problematic, couple things. Let's just look at this for a minute. Okay. That helps. Yeah, because this shot, her head was just looking too wide. And just changing that little bit on the hair was definitely helpful. Okay, so here it would almost be the opposite. It would come back a little more. So I definitely see. So what I'm kind of fighting with here is the challenge of making the eyes. We're trying to get these eyes to turn. Okay, what do I mean by that? Well, there's a line. Okay, so now this line wants to turn. Something along those lines, I think. If I projected those red lines onto a ball and the ball were to, turn around this way, what would that look like? It's an important question to answer because, frankly, if you want to draw a character accurately, there's almost nothing more important to do right than to be able to visualize and project what it looks like when it gets turned around the curvature of the head and or foreshortened. Okay, that's better. That's better. So we get to have that one little line right there, which gives us This is for shortened. I'm going to take the eyebrows out. So that I can look back at this drawing. Yeah, I want to just turn the red level off. Okay. Not too bad. So, and to be honest with you, I don't want to draw this character 5,000 times. I want to get these poses correct so that I can create some character sheet guides and cut and paste her head into whatever scene I'm animating. I get no joy from drawing the same thing over and over and over when there's a way to leverage that effort. Okay, so we do have a little bit of a problem here. Yep. Okay, so this is going to have the same issue. I'm going to see if I can use the proportional editing tool to kind of sort of fix that. So go. Again, it's amazing the difference these small changes make. Really amazing to me. Okay, so this is coming up to here. So, mark it. Mark it. That's amazing. Is that right? According to this, it is. Well, okay. So, how is that possible? How is that possible? Well, here, her top of her hairline comes to here, and here it doesn't. How did I make that mistake? Got a little crazy with the proportional editing tool is what it looks like to me. Frankly, I may recommend that we ditch the poofy ponytail. Not sure I like that, but ultimately that'll be Valerie's decision, not mine. Okay. Alright, so let's shrink this so that I can fine-tune it. Okay, so ideally we would have a true vector-based representation of the character at all different angles so that we can then scale it as necessary to match whatever scene we're animating. Okay, save that. So now I wonder if, okay, I can rotate this in 3D space this way and this way, but can I rotate it on the Z-axis? What if I go, let's try this, Shift, Control 8, nope, that goes up and down, back and forth, so it'd be Alt, it would have to be Alt, and Alt doesn't work, Control Shift, nope, it does not appear there's a way to actually rotate the viewport around the axis that's pointing out of the screen, but there is a way to do it using the camera, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the camera, and I'm going to hit the G key, and then I'm going to pull out so that the camera, let's see, let's go on the X. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate. The irony of what I'm doing right now is that now that I've figured out how to do it, I've forgotten why I wanted to do it. Okay, one thing I'm seeing here, let's go back to edit strokes mode, probably about there. And I gotta really I guess I want it higher actually after all. Yeah, of course the question is which one is wrong. Alright, so I'm going to have to delete this neckline, because as far as I'm concerned, this is off. Okay. It's not horribly off. Let's do it this way. Let's go shift and grab this, and you'll see. Yeah, I can't do that because it's going to tilt the eyes. Okay. Okay. And it seems to me that this eye, select linked. Nope, I gotta let go. And I gotta hit the O key. Okay. So now I'm gonna grab this, select linked, and we're gonna, okay, I didn't select the whole thing. Okay, go. Shrink it a little bit. Okay, better. We got a completely screwed up thing going on over here with her neck chin scenario, but that's pretty good. Okay. Again, same thing here. Once you introduce those curvy lines, does it look good? Yeah, I think it looks good. Does it look like anime, or does it look like this character? Nope. Not even close. So we have to be ruthless in our assessment of what we're doing. And stop being satisfied with stuff that's, you know, it's like Valerie was looking at the drawings a little earlier and She said, that looks better. And I said, well, I don't want to know if it looks better. I want to know if it looks right. Is it right? It isn't good enough for it to be better than it was. It's got to be correct. Because every drawing we ever make of this character going forward is going to be based on these designs. This is it. This is the deal. Okay, let's go back to the front view so we can have our grid again. Turn the camera off. Okay. Not bad, not bad, other than one little doohickey here I think I see. Let me double check that I'm in grab mode. This is definitely where the editing capabilities of the grease pencil are kind of nice. That looks better. Okay. Yeah, so basically this one, gosh, the way it looks to me, it's almost like we want to take this whole thing just am not sure. Size this on the X. Okay, let's turn on proportional editing. Size it on the X. Okay, and as you can see, despite the fact that the range of influence is ostensibly less, you can see what's going on here. There's a sort of a bulbous character there to her head that I think is a bit over the top. So I just want to fine tune that. Okay, I would say that did the trick. For me, it now looks like we're looking at the same character in all four shots. Perhaps a slight widening here. Yep. And of course, let's just kind of suck that in and slight pointing of her chin. Okay. With that, we need to make this a correct progression, which means let's grab all of this. Yep, it didn't. For some reason, Blender just loves to remember the last thing you selected and include that. Okay, so now I gotta hit the O key so I can move this down here. Alright, and now it's going to be kind of important to actually have this at the correct level. That looks pretty good. And now I'm going to select all of these gals. Let's go on the X. Back over this way. So what we should see is a progression that looks convincingly like this is the same girl in all the shots. So now, let's turn the proportional editing back on. And slightly lower, maybe slightly pointier. Kind kind of feeling like this line should be straighter. However, I don't know, I do like that actually. Let's be bold here for a moment. Let's take that out. See what happens if we make it a curve. Okay, so you do see that in a lot of anime. Personally, I don't like that. I'm thinking I like that kind of a lot better. So there we go. Now this would be incorrect. How would that actually work? She's got these bangs here, and this is tied back here. And if this is tied back here, you wouldn't have a bunch of hair falling down here, would you? Nope, you wouldn't. So this is wrong. This is wrong. Okay, so the basic problem here, it's funny how you keep, the more you do, you start recognizing silly boo-boos that escaped you before. So let's go on the X. Frankly, that should probably be about there. And this case is even more ridiculous, actually. That would not exist. Her hair is pulled up and around like that. So let's just select linked. And this has got to be more like that. Okay. I have to laugh because it's like, you know, I get so fixated on whatever I'm working with that really obvious stuff just seems to blow past me. Now, I'm going to say that this entire ponytail dynamic, as I've done it, is really kind of a little bit ridiculous. I want to go on the Z, and let's expand our proportional editing. Yeah, that's good. So now let's go. And let's at least get it below that line. Okay, so go on the Z to there. Okay, we've got an erroneous selection here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, 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 and this. Since we can sort of use our proportional editing tool to our advantage. So it doesn't quite screw up the top of her hairline. Okay, bangs, bangs, bangs. Yep, this is wrong. This one's definitely screwed up. And that's what we're trying to do, is catch the stuff that's screwed up and fix it. Okay. Alright, and so this, you can see it's just over this line. So be back like that. Here, the ponytail thingy dingy belongs here. So how far that ponytail goes, I don't really know. I'm gonna have to talk to the boss about that one. But I think that's probably better. Select all. Draw. Okay. This, I went too far. That's better. That's definitely better. Okay. Need a sip of my coffee. Been live streaming for over an hour now. Well, not live streaming, recording. Okay. Now, there is a major problem right here that, again, has somehow managed to escape me. She's going to have these pigtails. That's a key feature. Alright. Other than that, it's all bangs. It's not... There's not a whole bunch of hair like flopping down here over her face. So, I have a feeling that this right here is going to turn out to be warranting some correction. So, that's okay. Got an itchy nose going on. Well, that's to be expected. It's allergy season, as I've mentioned. Not sure how far down the pigtails go either, so I'm just going to err on the side of making them all the same length, and then we'll worry about making it correct a little bit downstream. So this is going to go like that. This is actually goofy. That's not really making sense. Here's her ear. So what we would have is pigtail. So I just want to clean out some of this noise. Scribbles, you know. Scribbles! Too many scribbles! I do think about the volume of this. I mean, really what would happen would be you would have these volumes like so, which I personally find looks better, and it's also becomes more predictable. Did I just say it's also becomes more predictable? I think I did just say that. It becomes more predictable. Because you can reduce what you're seeing to actual physical 3D volumes, if you will, that, you know, so it can be drawn repeatedly, which is in fact the whole point, obviously. Okay, the beautiful princess is looking pretty good. I'm actually thinking maybe this chin down slightly. Okay, go. Yep, just a little tiny smidgen. Okay, now the question becomes, do we want to attempt a 3/4 up? And I think that if we save early and save often, there's no question that we want to try a 3/4 up. So with that in mind, I'm going to turn off proportional editing. And I'm going to put this drawing here. So let's go on the Z, so it's literally directly below. And for the moment, let's grab these eyes. Whoops. Okay, we're getting our stupid thing that was going on earlier going again. Yep, same thing again. So it would appear that if anything is selected, yep, if there's anything selected, just grabbing the left mouse with control actually moves it in grid increments. Okay, so now this is going to definitely be challenging. I'm going to see what I can do in 2D in order to sort of trick this. And I suspect this is not going to work, but I'm going to try it. So first thing I'm going to do is hit the period key. Okay, let's go ahead and turn proportional editing on. Okay. Hello? For some reason, look at that, that's weird. The rotate key, rotate, is not responding. Okay, I'm just gonna... That's bizarre. Okay, so in case you're wondering what the heck is going on right now, I'm hitting the R key and then I'm moving the mouse and Blender's doing nothing. And then all of a sudden it jumps to where it's supposed to be and it's doing it over and over. So let's try turning the proportional editing off and see if that makes a difference. That does seem to make a difference. So now can we sort of trick this by creating an angle? I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if I can get away with this at all. But yeah, that doesn't seem to be. I was just wondering if you can sort of twist things around in 3D space to create the illusion that it's being rotated. Did I say 2D space? Take a 2D drawing, rotate it in 3D space to get the effect of turning, you know, a 3D volume. So I think the trick here for me is going to be I'm gonna just start erasing things, because it's kind of interesting that this is not really so far off. Okay, now I can see it in my head. I can see what's going on. Okay, let me switch back to this. Stop. Give myself some guides here. Okay, because now what I have to do is I have to preserve these proportions. You know, this is going to be a tricky one. This is definitely going to be somewhat tricky. I just have to picture it in my head and then draw what I'm seeing. So I think that looks pretty good. If we were going to do it this way, there's nope, I don't like that. I don't like that. So it seems to me that her chin would have to be... Yeah, this is really challenging. Okay, because the nose would be foreshortened this way. And, of course, the bangs would be coming out like this. We got the basic volume of the head here. So let's compare to this. So this is actually right about here, which means something along those lines. So I'm just picturing. So yeah, this would actually be around like this. I don't want this legacy... I don't want the legacy lines to be in place, distracting me from seeing what I need to see here. This is very much about seeing it in your imagination. It's the hardest thing to do. It's the hardest thing to do. See it in your head. And it's probably the most important thing for a creative person to learn to do. You know, to imagine a... You know, think about music, you know. Trying to hear an orchestration in your mind so that when you go into the studio, you just do it. You already know what you're going to do, and you just play it. You know, is way better than, frankly, what I'm doing mostly today, which is just trying things, see what works, you know, back and forth, up and down. I would rather do it in my head any day of the week. And your imagination is like a muscle, man. It's something you can exercise and get. It gets better the more you use it. I had some music while I wasn't sleeping, but I was laying in bed last night, and I had some music playing, right? And it's like classical music, but I'm literally hearing the chord changes in my head. I'm like, there he just went to the 4. There, that was a diminished chord, you know, and I can hear it, which is really cool because when I was younger, and I never really had a proper music education, so everything I learned to do, I had to learn by trial and error. It took a long time to learn the language and have enough familiarity with the components of it to be able to accurately A, know what I was hearing, and B, be able to use it, you know, in my own work. Okay. So now the question, of course, becomes, are these eyes positioned properly? They don't feel right to me. They feel like they're a little high, maybe. So, again, ideally, I would see it in my head. And folks, I'm trying. I'm really trying to see this. Okay. If the bangs were like this, that feels pretty good. You know, this is so important because if I can get this right, I can use this as a guide for a lot of different scenes. You know, being able to have the angle up and angle down, you know, frankly, angle down being, let's draw a circle, and now we're looking down at Akari this way. And we really need to have this for all of our characters with a lot of different poses, so otherwise you keep getting in situations like I just got into where, you know, you've done a fair amount of animation and you find out, well, actually it looks pretty good, but the problem is that character you drew, that's not the character. She doesn't look like that. Oh, okay. Well, it only took a day to fix it, change it, so it's not a big deal. And the reason that happened is because all parties agreed that the process of animating this scene was not really to be super regimented about the characters themselves. It was more like, okay, Dave, just draw what comes naturally and let's work with the software, test the workflow, and see what kind of stupid glitches you're going to run into that are going to make the work difficult or challenging. So it was more about the workflow than making sure the characters were perfect. And it's been good to discover that, at least with opentoonz, it's been pretty easy to go in and make revisions. You don't really lose work other than if opentoonz crashes and you haven't saved your work, then you lose it. But what I'm finding is generally you can go into sub-X sheets in opentoonz and make revisions, and they just propagate through your scene. It's very flexible software, put it that way. Okay, I'm kind of surprising myself here about how much I do like this. The hair's not perfect, but it's pretty good. I mean, it looks like Akari to me, which is great. That's what you want. If I'm going to draw Scooby-Doo, it would definitely be helpful if it does in fact look like Scooby-Doo, right? If it looks like Moto Mutt or some other cartoon dog, Astro, then it's not Scooby-Doo, is it? No, it's not Scooby-Doo. If you want it to be Scooby-Doo, it's got to look like Scooby-Doo. So you say, okay, well, what if it at least sounds like Scooby-Doo? And you say, rut-row. Well, Scooby-Doo's not the one that said rut-row. Astro on the Jetsons is the one who said rut-row. The one who put an R in almost every word whenever he talked. So Scooby-Doo just went. That was about it. If somebody, I think my son is laughing at me right now. Let's see what he's up to. Wave to YouTube. Yeah, he's just like chilling, man. He's just like doing his thing. While Dad does his thing, he waits with bated breath for Dad to get off Dad's hot computer so that he can. But he's pretty happy though, because he just ordered a pretty hot laptop. So he won't be truly happy until it arrives and he can actually experience all the things that are going to go wrong with it. Oh, we do have fun, don't we, Kyle? Yeah, we have a good time. So yeah, I'm a thinking. I've been drawing here for an hour and a half. I'm going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon, actually. So now I'm essentially doing the opposite, doing the down shot. Okay, so before I go too far though, I want to just be kind of critical. Let's take a little chill pill here and be critical of this. Okay, if that's her skull, then you got to have a little bit of a poof, but I think I kind of had that popping up too much. That definitely looks more accurate to what I expect for the lovely and gracious Akari. Let's try a different expression. Yeah, I think it works. Now, maybe the distance between the nose and the mouth is wrong. I mean, I think I got the nose foreshortening pretty good, actually. But, okay, so now I'm going to say this shot, I would say this will be the last one. I'm going to save that. Let's go back into draw mode. And let's just think about the volumes. Okay, I'm going to think about the volumes. The volumes are hair, main hair volume with that. And that's why I said earlier I want to think of this as 3D volumes. It just makes it way easier to visualize what you're doing. Okay, so we're looking down on her. And in this case, the poofy hair thing is going to be like that. And this has to come down over her eyes, so this is definitely going to be a little tricky. So what I'm thinking is, to be conservative, I'm going to try doing our standard eye shape concept, which is, as I've said before, it's dot, 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 dot. This is based on literally years of research, analyzing all kinds of anime to discover that the underlying structure of most anime eyes appears to be that. Now that's, of course, I'm being facetious, but there are definitely some anime where that seems to be the way that the shape of the eyes is arrived at. So let's just do that. Dot, dot, dot. Connect it up. And then we're going for the oval concept here. Okay. Got no idea if this is going to work. I feel like I want to flip my canvas. Let's hit the old 9 key. Yeah. Okay. So, whoops. Okay, I need to hit the comma. Okay. Dot, 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 dot. So, something like that, as our friends from Decatur would say. I lived in Decatur for 10 years. It's a small town not too far from here. And for some reason, people in Decatur don't say their THs when they say the word that. They say at. So we'll do it like at. It's not saying it's a bad thing. It's just how people from Decatur talk. Alright, so now this is a little bit screwy. I'm sure I have idiosyncrasies of my own. What do you think, Kyle? Do I have any idiosyncrasies? Perhaps. Wow, that's pretty gracious. When your teenage son tells you that perhaps you have some idiosyncrasies, that's pretty good. That's like most people telling you you're beyond perfect, actually. So now I'm going to go ahead and trust my finely tuned artistic sensibilities that say this should be something like that. Okay. Flip it back around. And we're going to have to zoom out here in a second. And again, I'm not, by no means am I suggesting that this is even remotely close to being right. I'm just trying. It looks somewhat screwy to me. But with some effort, it will eventually be right. Oops. Rotate that just a little bit. And let's pop that in just a little bit. I was about to say that I don't really like the way Blender, you know, the big orange balls that represent a selection like that make it hard to see the drawing, but you can actually turn that down in your preferences, so therefore not really fair to complain about it, since it is something that I could change if I wanted to. Okay, so now okay, I like that pretty well, pretty much. Kinda, sorta. Alright, let's address the hair. Hello, hair. Get it? Let's address the hair. Stupidest joke of the day. Okay, first of all, that needs to be back further. Alright, and then this, again, getting back to what the volumes are, that would be here. I think these guys are probably sticking out too far. There's a certain amount of artistic license you take, though, with a cartoon, especially if you have a costuming characteristic that's real distinctive. So in other words, if these little things poking out are real visible from one angle, you might want to exaggerate them in another angle just so that you maintain that consistent motif that's, you know, obvious at first glance. What are you looking at, Kyle? Memes? What's going on Twitter today? Well, whatever it is must be pretty funny, huh? you guess. Okay. Okay, so actually that would not be right. Be something like that. Okay, now I'm going to grab all this, select linked, make sure my proportional editing tool is off, hit the G key, move this down. Okay. This is the weakest one, the last one I did, clearly. It's also probably the hardest pose to get correct. Isn't it, you know, it's not enough to have it look like, you know, an anime character. It's got to look like Akari, you know, it's got to be accurate to her. So the eyes, I gave her kind of angry eyes here, admittedly, and I did that on purpose, but I probably shouldn't do that. For the character sheet, we probably should stick to the plan more accurately, because this is a reference after all, going forward. So that's better. And since she is kind of looking down like that, I think that I should also not give her the angry eyebrows. We should keep the expression consistent with the other poses so that it's easier to confirm or deny that this looks correct or looks like her. Oops, sorry about that. That I don't like. And this I don't like. Ah, looks pretty good. I'm sure we'll be coming around to getting more specific about her fine figure as well here before too long. So, but I think for today, that is just about it. I suppose, just to make this easier to look at going forward. Uh-oh. Let's select linked. Go. And just erase that. Erase those rogue scribbles. Okay, not too bad. And with that, I'm going to save my work and sign off.